The Spirit of Nature, Our War with Ourselves, Part 2. I've got an introduction from a book I wanted to read out by Claire Namad about fairies. And in relation to where we live and what's going on in the world and all that kind of stuff. I've got a date book, 97. So yeah, this was wrote in 97. And there it goes, kind of thing. I believe in fairies. These marvellous beings do exist, and I shall continue to remain insistent on that point. It is merely that we have lost the art of seeing and communicating with them. There is at the present time, as there has been throughout 2 or more centuries of rationalistic thought, a body of opinion which insists that only the mundane sphere of knowledge relating to the physical world and its laws and the report of these given by the 5 senses is acceptable. Everything else is miscreant and to be reviled and shunned. We can see how this particular form of fundamentalism has mechanized our world and robotized our response to it. Those who deplore such fundamentalism may be put in mind of Ahriman, a great demonic being who is Lord of Darkness in ancient Persian mythology, a spirit who wishes to imprison humanity in the darkness of matter so that we see life as the workings of a dead and soulless machine invested in an automatic impulse to sustain and procreate itself. As humankind conceives of a scheme of life as robotic in essence, so do we ourselves fall deeper and deeper into unconsciousness and become like robots. It is then that Ahriman attains his greatest power over our destiny. Ahriman is the witherer, the destroyer, the slayer of the real. He works through the lower mind, which is the intellect. His arid breath consumes and shrivels vision, spirit, communion, inspiration. His is not the voice of reason, which steadies and secures, but the smooth, chilling voice of cynicism, which drags us down and depresses us in the fathoms of matter, so that our consciousness loses all sight and grasp of our true potential as inhabitants of a spiritual world of wonder and divine possibility. It is the entombing it is the entombing of such divine possibility by the limitations of materialistic thinking that has blotted out our ability to see and communicate with the fairies, those ethereal nature spirits who, in a golden age long past, conjoined with humanity in a brotherhood to create a paradise on earth. Since those times, the Ahrimanic impulse has taken over as human consciousness has moved ever deeper into the dark domain of matter, seeking to dominate, control, and exploit the earth. As we begin to awaken to our lost spiritual heritage, denied us by materialist and rationalist inhibition, the visionaries of our age are able to see that our world is not the result of a blind and mechanical process whereby the phenomenon of humanity finds itself by sheer chance in an indifferent universe, but that the laws governing matter are such that the physical sphere can be stabilized and developed into a perfect receptacle for spirit. They assure us that gathering around our plane, it says planet, but plane is an ethereal mantle, it says mantle as well, of divine light composed of angelic substance, imbued with the vibrations of higher intelligence emanating from a pure and elevated source in the cosmos. If our plane and its suffering human cargo are to be healed and harmonized, we must rise in spirit, intent on creative endeavor in order to earth this mystical power. For healing and harmonizing of ourselves with our Mother Earth, we sorely need the help not only of the angels and the great masters of the inner planes who are drawing near in order to guide and inspire us, but of the fairies who dwell within nature and who have a deep and intimate connection with our thoughts and feelings. Not only do the fairies build, farm in the vegetable kingdom in all its variety, they also build the essence of those subtle vehicles that are our mental and emotional bodies. For just as we have a physical body, miraculously composed of the elements of earth, so do we have finer bodies for our thought and feeling life composed of the etheric essence of those same four physical elements. The fairies help us to weave and sustain these bodies. Indeed, they have secret access to them, so that they can lend inspiration to our mental and soul creations. Our music, art, dance, literature are not created without their help, nor our scientific and medical discoveries pioneered without their aid and blessing. Our human past and future, and our arid apocalyptic present, are all inextricably bound up with the vital essence of a fairy world and its magical inhabitants. It is vital at this time of particular environmental and spiritual crisis that we regain our lost ability to understand and communicate sympathetically with the fairies. The evolution of our souls, our true and deeper selves, even our continued essence on this beautiful plain earth, we may well depend on it. Seers and physics Seers and psychics assure us that in spite of our ravages of what the fairies hold most dear, in spite of the painful limitations of our truncated vision, the time is ripe and even urgent for the rediscovery of the enchanted fairy realms. There is abroad and stalking us at the moment a peculiar form of emotional constriction that might be labelled spiritual embarrassment. In the last century, sexual embarrassment abounded until Sigmund Freud and other thinkers began the task of dismantling it. How much more essential that spiritual embarrassment concerned as it is with the deepest, the true source of life, rather than just the other manifestation of it via the sexual forces. Mysterious as these are, it should be overcome. Despite this spiritual embarrassment, most of us will have retained from childhood a hidden knowledge pertaining to the wonder of the inner worlds of nature and the fairies, although we keep it secret from our adult, alienated selves. It is this sense of wonder and awe that we need to recapture before we can begin to approach the fairy realm. And the surest means of procuring it is to reclaim our child of selves. Christ taught that we need to become as little children in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. The first mansion of this kingdom is a fairy world, where being unites in untold joy and blessing with the outer physical forms. With the outer physical forms on our earth, thereby irradiating all nature with the essence of paradise. The spells and instructions in each chapter of this book are, as it starts talking about the book, it has been given but as an example of what it's saying, you know what I mean? Like this Ahriman, the name might not be accurate, but a name is a name in a sense, so it's like more like, you know, the nature that it's describing the entity to be is this machine-like essence, which is very like the machine beings that I saw on the astral planes and stuff like. So the connection there is, you know, well, you just look at what life is, how people get caught up in that system. You know what I mean? That day-to-day life being work, come home, TV, beer, etc., and repeat. You know what I mean? Or someone caught up on gambling or whatever that life gets you caught up in. Well, propaganda throws you into. So this is the problem that, like on the previous video, part one, I told you about that dream. You know, I had all the people in the orange suits doing the work mindlessly, not really realizing what they're doing. See, like they're a cog in the system, completely blind, unaware of what they're doing. Now, everyone else is just taking part just as much. So, the hidden are hiding, the hidden being the Fae, because we're fighting the war against them. It's like as we stay on our way of thinking, like, you know, the sleepers' way of thinking, the people that are asleep, they're not aware of what they're doing. You know what I mean? They've taken part on this war. You know what I mean? It's like everything that you buy. You know what I mean? If it's got a barcode in it, it's part of that. And it's like, you know what I mean? You got to run away from it. You got to avoid it all. So if we stop that, then they, you know what I mean? It's gonna change our relationship with the nature spirits and stuff. So we need to turn our backs on these people which are destroying our lives. Stuff like not doing things for mankind, doing things for life kind, including the plants. You know what I mean? It's like we just need to work together with nature, and the more we do that, the more we heal it, the earth kind of thing, the more we're going to be going in the right direction. And also, to further onto that kind of stuff, I've got an abundance of books. I've got one with like people's testimonies of fairies from like 110 years ago. What, it 1910? I think that book is, which most people, a lot, generally older people which believed in it, were one of the testaments saying about he will believe in that it was education which were doing it, like preventing people from seeing fairies anymore. So, in a sense, because of the left brain aspect of things, you know what I mean, preventing you from seeing in that kind of way and all that kind of thing. But also the education it's facilitating that war on nature. So, you know, like again, that's why they're hiding from us, because we're taking part in that. And the sooner we'll realise that and walk away from it, the better. And to further this, I'll be making meditation videos to help you like activate your light body for, you know, astral projection and all those kind of things and stuff. And then I'll, you know, amongst that, I'll be doing what's it called, the notes that I've added for the creation of life type of stuff, and all these other kind of fairy related books and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so this will this is the end of this one, I think. So yeah, I'll catch you in a bit. Thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping up and being patient with them all. Nice one, cheers.